What's up, YouTube land? Zeno Gaming back with episode number 14 of my F1 2020 My Team career mode. Here today, we will be racing around the Hungarian Grand Prix. After a disappointing race last time out at Silverstone, the AI really quick around that track, and I didn't have very good pace, and it was a race mixed. Sorry about that, but yeah, Silverstone didn't have any good pace. But real quickly here, off camera, I actually brought one level each of these driver perks just to help with the social media, the resource, get more resource points. It helps with engine power being reduced. And yeah, so I thought that was a good buy. They're pretty cheap as well, so you can take the bullet off that. They don't cost too much. Also, yeah, so back to Silverstone. Yeah, just made too many mistakes around that track. Spun, hit the wall. Probably was lucky to even be ahead of the two Williams cars. So anyway, moving on now here to Hungary. Looking at some development options. Obviously, anything we do now won't be coming for this Grand Prix. We do have an engine development there in the works. Hopefully, we can get that for Spa and Monza. Monza especially, power circuit, and that would be helpful to have some engine components on the car to really help develop the car and be competitive in a straight line. But with our Mercedes engine, we're pretty strong. So yeah, that's all in good. And our trade's not looking too bad. We can still see we haven't really made progress since the start of the season. We started the season where we are, and we're kind of still where we are, and we haven't made that progress that step forward that I would have liked to have made. But that is what it is, and we'll just have to keep developing the car, keep pushing it, and I think the way to do that is just to keep spending money on the facilities. But anyway, without further ado, we'll get into the weekend and we'll go into qualifying. So let's see how that works out. So here we are here for the Hungarian Grand Prix in qualifying. This is our first run in Q1. We've got Leclerc in the way here just in the last sector, so it won't hold us up too much as he prepares to start his fast lap here in Q1 as we get a bit sideways out of turn 13. So now come through turn 14, the final corner, as we use all the curb on the exit and get the run to the line. And not a bad first lap ahead of Kvyat there, and we're actually in 6th place here. Second run here in Q1, same set of tyres. We have a really good middle sector. We come to the line, we're up here. We don't improve position, we improve the time though, as we remain in 6th place here. As we now, same set of tyres. I didn't actually put on a fresh set because I was pretty confident in getting through the Q2. I just go out just in case the track ramped up. We couldn't improve on our time, but we're in 8th place here, and as you can see, we stay in 8th place, and we go through to Q2 quite comfortably. So we got some really good pace around Hungary. Not sure what the reason for that is. As you can see, out in Q1 is Grosjean, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Schumacher, Russell, and Latifi. So that's a little bit unfortunate as we now move here into Q2, and there is some weather on its way. So we're going to try and get in these laps and runs as quickly as we can. So we're here, do the first run, as that puts us in 4th place. But now we're sitting in 8th place after the other cars completed their runs. But you can see this is our second run here. And you can see it's just starting to rain here in Q2. So we're going to have to try and get in this lap as quickly as we can. As we now come into the last sector. And you can see it's very close on the time. We lose the back end a little bit through 12 as we now come through 13. Trying to be smooth and gentle on the throttle. And now the run through 14 here. And you can see very close with our time. We're actually not really gaining a lot as we now come out of the last corner. We're not gaining at all. So we're not going to improve, but with the rain starting to fall, hopefully no one else behind will be able to further improve their lap time. As now we're going to go to the end of the session as it just rained out the session. So Q2 results do not change. As you can see, that's caught out Valtteri Bottas as he's going to have to start way back down there in 13th place. But also out is Kvyat, Norris, Gasly, Ocon, and Giovinazzi. So unfortunate for those guys, but they will have to start from the back. Not from the back, from the midfield positions. As we now come into Q3 here, our first timed run on our first set of intermediates. and we're not raining for Sunday, so we can use as many of these as we want. We've got 3 sets, so we'll probably only get 2 runs in as we come across the line here. Now for our first lap, and we go faster than Albon, so that's encouraging signs there. As now we start our second run. So our first run has us in P7, but the rain has actually stopped, so this run is really important because this is going to be a quicker lap here as we now come through turn 1 here. Very gentle on the power, short shift in the gears, still wheel spinning in 5th gear as we now come to turn 2. I'm trying to use this wider line here and then trying to get back down to the apex for a smooth throttle. As we now come through turn 3, we lose the back end, we're off the track here through 3, tricky corner as now we'll cut to the end of the lap. We're not improving because of that mistake. We lost a little bit too much time through the lap, and now that's really going to cost us because everyone else has improved. So it's going to be 10th place here for the Hungarian Grand Prix today, which is a little bit unfortunate because I think we had a bit more pace to be a little bit higher, but it is what it is, and it's a great qualifying position for us either way. So, yeah, not bad. We'll go to the Crofty now for the race.
Budapest as we get ready for another round of the Formula One World Championship. We don't expect too many retirements at this track. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher. He made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. We're northeast of Budapest for the race today at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, Alexander Albon, and Perez, Ricciardo, Sainz, Stroll, and the captain, Kvyat, Norris, Valtteri Bottas, and Ocon, Gasly, Grosjean, Kimi Raikkonen, and Kevin Magnussen. Schumacher, Russell, Latifi, and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
We're in a great position to improve on our results from the last race. Let's make it happen.
So welcome everybody here today to the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we are in a good position, 10th place on the grid, so hopefully we can just get off to a smooth start. It's going to be a one-stop strategy here today, soft to hard tyre, quite straightforward, and hopefully we can just pick up good points for the team. That's what we really need, especially after a difficult race last time in Silverstone. And just, yeah, more points in the constructor standings will help us beat our rivals going forward. So, you know, that's what we aim to do here today, and hopefully we have a good race. So, yeah, we'll just see how that all plays out. So, yeah, as we now move into the start of this race, hopefully we can get a good start off the line here, and then we can really make an impact in this Grand Prix. Mick, I don't know what Mick can do here today. The other car just seems like, yeah, we maybe need a better driver to get a little bit more result, but we'll see how we go on that front. So we now gear up here for the start of the Grand Prix here in Hungary. The Revs arrives in Hungary for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's go here in Hungary as we make a decent start compared to Stroll. We pull past him. Sainz goes defensive to the inside. We're going to go to the outside. Stroll now pulling past here. We're going to dive down the inside. We're going to change decision up the inside of Perez as well. And he doesn't close the door on us. And Stroll's on his outside. So Perez is squeezed in the middle between us and his teammate. But Perez is coming back at us here as we're now going to try and go brave around the brakes and around the outside of Sergio Perez. And a good move there. Now it gives us the inside for 3. Perez sweeping around the outside, but he backs out of it. And we take that position away, so we move into 7th place immediately off the line. So a great start here as we now follow Ricciardo, who's putting pressure on Max Verstappen here early in this race, who's behind Leclerc, who's behind Albon, who is under a bit of pressure. Good start here out front for Vettel as he leads the Grand Prix from Hamilton, as Bottas is down the order in the mid-pack. So we'll see where he can finish today in this race. So, yeah, good opening laps though so far, and we'll see what we can do here as we follow Daniel Ricciardo, our fellow Australian. Yeah, that was an exciting first lap against the two Racing Point cars and Sainz into turn 1. And to get past all three of those guys is going to prove critical for our race, because we do have pretty good pace around this track. I think we might have been quicker than those guys in the dry session, and I think we are also quicker than our fellow Australian Daniel Ricciardo. He has Vettel leads for the first time around here in Hungary. As can we have a go into Ricciardo into turn 1? Probably not going to be close enough. We're running a very, very high downforce, so overtaking is going to be very difficult, especially without DRS, as we now move here onto the end of lap 4, and you can see Ricciardo's just falling away from the top 5, as you would expect, as now we're though lining up a move on the Renault driver, as we need a good exit here out of turn 1, open up the DRS, overtake mode enabled. We're going to leave that enabled for the best chance here into turn 1. We're going to have to be brave on the brakes into 1, and we are, and we get that move done. Ricciardo though with the switch back underneath, a really good move from Ricciardo to get back underneath us. We're going to have to be brave on the brakes into turn 2 again if we want to get past the Australian here, and this time we don't run ourselves too wide, and we're able to gain 6th place over Daniel Ricciardo, as now we move here to lap 8. A few guys have already come in for a pit stop. We're now coming in for a pit stop, and yeah, the leaders have already come in for their pit stop. We're now coming in on lap 8. We're going to go onto the hard tyre to the end of the Grand Prix. So we'll see what that does. Albon also in. Ricciardo must have pitted on the previous lap. So we'll see where we come out in relation to him, what the undercut has done for Daniel Ricciardo. We did pull away from him. There wasn't really much to say after that. We aren't going to close in and challenge the top 5 on pure pace today, but we could be best of the rest here, as we now come out of the pit lane behind Max Verstappen, ahead of Latifi, and there's Daniel Ricciardo. So Ricciardo stuck behind Latifi. Maybe if Nicholas Latifi isn't there in his way, we lose out to that position, but luckily for us, we're able to stay ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, as now we come up to the back of this pack with Max Verstappen here on lap 12 and his teammate Albon, and going to turn 1, honestly, not trying a move here, just avoiding action, because the AI, when they follow, they don't maximise their braking, and you know, it's a really good move in the end to get past Verstappen, as now Albon behind Giovinazzi here on lap 12, and he's having a big blow up. I'm not sure which driver it is it Giovinazzi or is it Albon? It's Albon who's having the blow up, and he's out of this Grand Prix in big style, and that's caused a safety car here. So there's no... Thank you for that, Jeff. There's no point for us to pit because we're coming out on hards. I don't think medium's going to the end. Giovinazzi, he stayed out, so not sure what his plan is. A few guys ahead in the pits have pitted, including his teammate. There we come out ahead of Esteban Ocon, so he slots in behind us actually. So that was intriguing, as we now get up back to the start of this safety car restart here in Hungary, and we're going to have a big slide out of the last corner, and we enable overtake mode. We're going to be under pressure from Ocon here into turn 1, as now I don't know where he is. He's going to the inside. We're going to defend to the inside. We leave him about a car's width, and we run a little bit wide to give him space into turn 1. There was a contact. I'm not sure what happened there. He's a long way behind out of the exit of turn 1, so there was contact. I don't know how severe it was. I don't know if he's got a damaged wing or anything, but yeah, lap 16, Giovinazzi into the pits. So is our teammate. So that's going to really cost these guys not coming in under the safety car. They just needed to take that bullet at pitting a few laps early. They would have really benefited, but unfortunately they didn't take that decision this afternoon. So we're now in P4 with Albon's retirement and also being ahead of Verstappen. And we've almost chucked that down the drain. We're in the grass there, and Ocon's coming up on our outside. Can he go around the outside of turn 11? We're going to squeeze him now. We're going to have to be very defensive here into turn 12, but Ocon, he's having a look, but he cannot get past. We're going to have to be very aggressive into turn 1 as well. That was a really bad mistake here, and we're wide once again. And Verstappen's actually somehow taken advantage of it and gotten past Esteban Ocon. So not sure what if Ocon made a mistake or what, but Verstappen taking advantage of it. And now we're going to deal with the Dutchman here coming down to turn 1 instead of the Frenchman, as we're going to go defensive to the inside here. We're protecting a 4th place finish right now, and we are able to hold on for now, but we now move later in this lap, and coming through turn 5, we just slightly touch the curb here. We're all very sideways. We're almost in the barrier again. This time Verstappen takes advantage. We go defensive to protect from Ocon. We had to do that, and we dropped to 5th place, so really poor driving from us in the last 2 laps. And yeah, but this is the last lap of the Grand Prix now, and you'll be wondering why I've skipped to the last lap of the Grand Prix. So nothing's happened. I pulled away from Ocon, as you can see the gap back to Ocon. Verstappen pulled away from me, as you can see the gap to Verstappen. And the 2 Ferraris, one of the Ferraris pitted. I think it was, I'm actually not sure which one it is at this stage. So we're now currently sitting in 3rd place. I believe Vettel is leading the Grand Prix. I believe it's Leclerc that pitted. I don't think Leclerc ever got ahead of Hamilton. So I'm going to hedge my bets and say that Leclerc pitted for a 2nd time in this race. Bottas hasn't been able to come through. So we're sitting here on course for our first ever podium at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which is just unbelievable. As Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, he wins the Grand Prix. Actually, sorry, both the Ferraris pitted. I realise we're in 3rd, Verstappen 2nd, Hamilton 1st. Hamilton wins here in Hungary, with Verstappen finishing across the line 2nd place. So we're going to come to the line, cross the line, to finish an incredible P3 for our first career podium for Team Zeno Racing.
It's victory in Budapest then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. To see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Our championship leader is still sat at the top of the standings, but their rivals have made up some solid ground today. Now, let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, good work from the owner-drivers team this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ants, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So that was the Hungarian Grand Prix here today, guys, and we've gotten our first career podium. Very boring race, to be honest. It was action early, but after the safety car, nothing honestly happened. That's why I've just skipped to the end. The 2 Ferraris pitted. I don't know why, but that's really cost them. You can see because the pack was so close, they really didn't gain anything out of doing a second stop. Bottas wasn't really able to recover. He loses a bit of ground towards Hamilton in the championship. And yeah, first podium, I don't know what to say. It's a big moment for us here. As you can see, Bottas still leads the championship, but he's lost a lot of points today to Hamilton. So this is what Hamilton needs in this over the course, going into the winter break, to give him some momentum to make a charge at Bottas in the second half of the season. And as for us, we move ahead of Alfa Romeo, a big point score for us today. So we move into 7th in the constructors standings, and hopefully we can just continue to build on this momentum. Unfortunately for us, we are the only ones who have scored the points for the team, but you know, it is what it is. As you can see with the rivalry here with Pierre Gasly, just getting closer to that number of 30. Good weekend here for us in Hungary. Very good weekend, actually. And you can see the acclaim level for both me and Schumacher rising. And I don't know if Schumacher's been better. I think he and Hubert really aren't too different at the minute. So we are probably just need a better car. I don't know if our these two young drivers, they just can't seem to extract the performance out of the car just yet. So we have a sponsorship renewal which we will probably accept here from Atlantic. I like the sponsors we get from currently, and I will keep them on board for now. So I probably could have had a look to see what was new, but I like our current sponsors. I like the goals we get. Really good money. They're not difficult objectives to hit, so and you get a good goal bonus out of it. So it's good money, easy money, in my opinion. As we now come here, we'll just fill out some activities. But when it comes to the driver situation, neither driver has really. I think Hubert got out of Q1 once, and that was very early in the season. That's what our second driver. Neither of them have been near points at all at any point of the season. So, yeah, I know we need a better car. I'm trying my best. I'm really pushing development as much as I can. It's really difficult though, however, and you can see, as you can see from the tree. So, yeah, I am not really sure what else we can do. But just keep pushing, and I think what will really help us is trying to I want to try and get quality control up to level 2, as you can see, for each department, and that's probably going to take the rest of the season's work to do so. So that's the plan, to get those quality control, because I don't want bits and development bits failing, and we have to put more resource points. We waste more time. It's just a bit of a annoyance, and I think this will really make development be a lot quicker for us over the course of 3 seasons. I think this is a much more long-term prospect we're looking at rather than short-term. So we're going to take a little bit of short-term pain for long-term game, and I think that's a better way to get to the top quicker.
Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season. Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful? Your second driver really seems to be improving at a rapid pace. How dedicated are they? Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future? You lost your second driver due to financial issues. How dire is the situation at your team? Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful? Thanks so much, as ever, for your time. It's hugely
So, yeah, there's not much more for me to add today in this episode. We're going to go into the winter break here before the next episode at Spa. So, yeah, to recap, first career podium for me as the driver and for the team. So, it's a great result, and we're going to take this momentum into the winter break, or the summer break, sorry, I should say, and hopefully we can come out and be very competitive at the next 2 races, which should suit the Mercedes engine. So, yeah, I'm expecting to be competitive. But, yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more F1 2020 My Team content. This video is probably up a little bit later than what I would have liked. I just a little bit busy over the last week, but, it's what it is. So we're going to have plenty more of these videos hopefully dropping throughout the week. Also, my first league race is on this Thursday in the Australian Oceania, and that will hopefully be posted on Friday morning. So anyway, till next time, guys. We'll see you for the next video. Goodbye.